Hello, I'm Lisa. Namaskaram, and welcome to today's Saturday Sit, where we're moving into the topic of observation. And over the last several weeks, we've been talking about a couple of other different big sort of topics that have led us into this place of observation. The first was we spent quite a bit of time, quite a few sessions on installing a stillness practice and what that means, what it looks like, why it matters. And from there, we started talking about equanimity. And that was a much tougher topic to sort of navigate together. But it really matters, this idea of not only learning to sit still and letting the dust settle or the snowflakes. We used the metaphor of a snow globe and allowing snow to settle and seeing what's there. The equanimity piece is this idea that we're not deciding what we see and what we don't by our sort of habits and our training and what we're trained to see, what we're programmed to look at. And so observation is sort of a natural extension of these two things. We don't ever start with observation, particularly when we're on our healing path, because we don't yet have the training to actually dip our toe into seeing what's here. It can be scary as hell if you've never sort of turned on the lights in your mind, which is really what observation is doing. It could be so scary and also just overwhelming. So we really wanted to take some time establishing what it means to sit still, what some of the benefits are in doing that. And then from the equanimity piece, just allowing, learning to allow things to be as they are. Once we've spent some time in these places, we have a natural ability to start taking a look around. And again, it can be really scary, but we're going to take it slow. And at least it's a topic that most people, if I say the word observation, you have some idea of what I'm talking about, as opposed to, something like equanimity, which is a little bit more difficult to navigate together. So when we're looking at observation, what we're really saying is like, what's here? And specifically, I'd love to just share my understanding of this very intentional practice of observation is about trying to undo or at least pause our programming. And by programming, I mean the constant mind chatter. And I guess to illustrate this point, if we can recall a time, and we'll do this as we do our meditation practice and in the exploration portion of that, but calling on a time when your mental chatter was quieted. And you may have to go all the way back to childhood. And that's why I call this cultivating fresh eyes, because if we think about ourselves as a young person, really young, like how far back do we need to travel in our own evolution to uncover a time when we could just be in the moment? And when we didn't have the chitty chatty narrative telling us that's good, that's bad, this shouldn't be happening, I wish this circumstance was different. And if we have to go all the way back to childhood to find that person, when we think about being 5 or 8 or, whatever the age is, when we were just playing a sport and we were fully engaged in that sport, or, maybe we were on a roller coaster. Unfortunately, we do see the cessation of mental narrative, both in times of great joy and also great despair. In other words, we can all probably think of a time when we got a piece of news, something that we learned that stopped time for us. So we can have this experience, through joy or through pain. But the idea is we want to start to flirt a little bit with what it would be like to just be in an experience without all the narrative that we assign it. And then the question becomes, what am I experiencing? What would this be like if I wasn't thinking, not even thinking about it, but it's the narrative that changes it. And I would also add that, music does this for us. And if we think about, if we're like the car, if we're in the car, if we're taking a walk, if we put on something upbeat, something with a good rhythm, something that's festive or symbolic to us in some way, that really has the power to lift our mood a little bit, maybe a lot. Um, and if we listen to something sad or something we consider to be, what we would call us like in the feels, we're in our feelings and we're that having that type of music on can also change our mood. And it's the same way with our narrative, with our internal dialogue with ourself. If we are observing and we're labeling something in a particular way, whether it's good or bad, we have the power to influence our own mood. And so I find that to be particularly good news because it means that we actually have some influence over our internal experience versus having to be dependent on the circumstances and conditions around us. And this is what yoga and meditation is all about, is learning, as we've talked about a lot in equanimity, how to manage and own our own experience independent of what's happening around us. That's an extremely valuable gift and strength, and that's what we're really focusing on here. So as we move into the meditation, the invitation is to open to observation, opening to life, what's here. And again, we'll do that through some exploration. And what we're trying to let go of is this kind of clamping down, this closing off to experience. And we do that through just hundreds and thousands of conclusions that our very efficient brain already makes for us on autopilot, the original supercomputer. So moving into observation, we're going to look at what's here. We're going to call to mind a time when we had that, even if brief, cessation of mental noise. We're going to explore that a little bit. So moving now into the actual meditation practice, we're going to go ahead and just establish this nice dignified posture, with our face kind of, positioned upward just a little bit. Naturally brings our attention to kind of this center between our forehead right here, which is something that helps us kind of calm and become available. We want to think a lot about concentrating on our breath. Our breath is the very life force that energizes us and refuels us, and also allows us to drop what's no longer needed. And that's through the inhale and the exhale of the breath. If you're not sold on the importance of the breath, it's okay. Go ahead and hold it for a bit and see if you actually need it. You might discover that you do, in which case we want to bring some consciousness, some attention, and some gratitude to our breathing. And anytime that we do this, whether we're, at a traffic light or, in between meetings, or maybe we're standing in line, anytime we find ourselves in a neutral space, this is a great time to tap into this conscious breathing. And it's also just a reminder that we don't meditate wrong. Meditation is about being present, feeling the breath coming in and out of our bodies, being reminded of the humility of being a life force that has a beginning, has an end, and bring our attention to the current moment. We're going to move through several cycles of inhaling and exhaling, and I will guide us through that process, which is intentionally brief, so that you hopefully will get the rhythm of the meditation and be able to take that into your own space. And I will do that through a series of, we do about 4 in and out breaths per minute. That's about 15 seconds per cycle. So I'll guide us through that, pull away the support little by little as we move into just some breathing on our own, and then some exploration. And also just, as that reminder that we cannot meditate wrong. So we're not using this as an opportunity to beat ourselves up or to criticize. What should we look like? How should we be feeling? Are we doing it wrong? No, we're not doing it wrong. We're going to leave that out of the narrative. Hopefully, we're going to leave a lot out of our mental narrative. And also, just as a reminder, meditation is not an escape. It's not an opportunity or a pursuit of being somewhere other than we are. Meditation is about learning to be where we are, about learning to inhabit our bodies, and to understand that after we do this for a significant amount of time, what we find is that not only are we not trying to get somewhere, we don't need to get anywhere anymore. That's kind of the North Star, because when we learn to sit and stay present, even if it's a minute at a time, we're learning to be ourselves, be with ourselves, and to be home. And that's what meditation is all about, at least in my own personal practice, which is coming home, learning to stay home, and repeating often. So we're going to move into the meditation now. I do begin and end each session with a yogic invocation that's in Sanskrit, very brief, kind of your cue that we're beginning our session and also that we're ending it. And we'll wrap up with a couple of opportunities to get more engaged with the work that we're doing. So we're going to go ahead and get started again with this nice long spine. We're going to drop our shoulders from our ears and just have this nice long neck and kind of gazing upward just a little bit. And let's get started. Asito ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya Trudran Ritangamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Taking our first breath in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And exhaling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and rest. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and hold. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and hold. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In breath 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In breath 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out breath 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhaling. Exhaling. Inhaling. Exhaling. Inhaling. Exhaling. Inhaling. Exhaling. Continuing to breathe at a comfortable pace. Inhaling and exhaling on your own. If you notice your mind wandering, just bring it back. You can anchor yourself. The experience of the oxygen, the cool air coming into the lungs and letting it out of the lungs to keep you anchored. allowing those thoughts to quiet, not resisting them, just letting them go by. It's all okay to be here. As we clear the mental space and the chatting, we're moving now to explore this feeling of presence, and specifically presence and joy. Bringing to mind a time when we weren't judging our situations, when we weren't judging ourselves, longing, craving, wanting something else. Maybe we were just a child. We weren't aware of our otherness, our separateness. Didn't see our differences as flaws or weakness. We were just ourselves, just the experience without the narrative. Maybe allowing this feeling to come into our bodies feels warm or cool. Maybe it feels like relief or an innocence. What does it feel like to just see what's here in this moment of non-narrative? Maybe it brings a smile, remembering it, remembering that it's possible. If it's possible to dip into this feeling right now with people we don't even know, is it possible to cultivate fresh eyes? What would even a moment a day feel like if we could just be in it? How would it change us? If we could let go of telling ourselves, this should not be happening, or this is terrible, or I'm so scared. What if instead we just let ourselves be okay? Let this feeling of okayness take root. Slip in through your fingertips, through your breathing. Can we all access this place of being okay and not run from what's here with our narratives and our stories and our programming. Observing what's here anchors us into the moment, which is the only place we can experience anything. Now, in this moment, and in this moment, let's really breathe in this feeling as we take our last couple of breaths together during our exploration. Maybe letting go of some of those stories as we exhale. Just stories, thoughts we like having, thoughts we tell ourselves. They're just thoughts. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya Trurmaritangamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaskaram, and welcome back to our fresh eyes and what we're seeing. It's a fun experiment. You should take it or consider taking it forward with you in your day. Again, anytime you have a moment, just breathing in this life force and letting it go and trying to drop our stories. See if you can see something for the first time. See if it changes your experience of your day and how you show up when you can't be so present. So thank you for joining today's Saturday Sit. A couple of notes as we wrap up our session together. We'll be meeting again next week. And in our next session, we're going to look a little bit more at listening, learning to listen and not just hear. This is a fun one to investigate, sort of deep listening. Additionally, we are sharing a PDF in the chat of the LinkedIn space anyway, how to develop your own stillness practice. And I'm also available to support your endeavors. If you go to my website, lisamcfarland.com, you'll find contact information there, as well as the landing page for our virtual healing community, my heart and soul, called Scars to Medals. We're still just kind of building this as we're going, but if you're so inspired and curious, you can access that landing page at my website and learn more about what we're doing in that community. Additionally, I have written the first book in a series of 3 called The Healing Path, Stay Present, now available on Amazon. Does cover some of these practices that we're going through, as well as just provides you with some very everyday, easy ways to dip into these concepts that we're learning about and talking about. My experience is that, we don't have these big earth-shattering moments of revelation. That change and transformation is a daily practice, an intentional thing that we may do just 1 second at a time. So the Healing Path Part 1, Stay Present, is kind of an introduction to some of these practices. Currently working on the second book of that series, which should be out hopefully by the end of this summer, if not sooner. Additionally, you can just subscribe to our LinkedIn newsletter called Stepping Stones. And if you're so inspired or interested and you're just new to these Saturday sits, there is a nice library of these videos if you wanted to go back and kind of start at the beginning with equanimity, um, both on LinkedIn, on my profile, but also on YouTube. And so we'll drop that link in the chat as well. Again, just thank you for being here, especially if you're trying something new. We're kind of in this together. I really look forward to our times together on Saturdays. I hope it's valuable for you. We all have to make choices about where to spend our most important commodity, which is time. And I'm grateful that you decided to spend it with me today. So until next time, let's do our best to stay present, to stay grateful, and to stay healing. And until next time, namaskaram and have a beautiful day.